Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I want to tell you a story. One of my friends, her father was near his end, and I had known her for quite a while. She was one of the first people I met when I moved to Savannah, and I was a part of her family, and hers was a part of mine. And so, a few days before her father passed away, she said, "Let's go meet him." And he was in the hospital, and we went in. And I realized that it was the same floor that my mother had been on when she passed away just months before. And suddenly, all the grief and sorrow that I hadn't felt when she did pass away was present. And I kind of collapsed a little bit. And I was apologizing. I was like, "I'm so sorry." And then all the people on the floor saw me and they recognized me and they hugged me and they shared love. I got myself together and I was like, "Please forgive me. I know I'm here about your father, not about my mom. I don't know what just happened." And they were like, "Yeah, that makes sense." So I went in, I got a chance to meet him, and we just talked. And, well, the family members and I talked. He didn't talk, he wasn't verbally able to speak, but we could feel his presence with us. And he passed probably the next day or the day after that. Well, my friend said, "I wanted you to meet him because I want you to write his obituary." And so I sat around with the family and I listened to stories. And it's a large family, but he had also taken in and fostered like 10 kids. And all the kids in the neighborhood were their family members. And everybody knew him. And he'd been a police officer and he'd been just a member of the family and like one of the first in the area, first African American police officers. And so he was later in years. And so I wrote about his life. And the obituary was so long. It was so long, and I kept trying to shorten it. I couldn't shorten it. But I talked about his life in his youth and in his middle years and in his later years, and how steadfast and committed and dedicated he had been to his family, to his community, to God, and how he was the kind of man that we would all hope to be. He was the kind of person that we would all hope and aspire to be, someone whose word mattered, and he was committed to caring for, and no child was ever left out or not included in anything that was needed to happen. And so I wrote this thing, and it was so long, and we said, "Let's just send it in." And the funeral home said, "Well, they usually don't print anything this long, but it's so wonderful. Let's just send it in." And the newspaper said, "We don't print anything this long, but we're not even going to charge you. Let's just put it in." And so then they asked me to sing at the funeral. I was like, "Come on, y'all." And so I did. But the place was packed. And there were people who knew him in his youth. There were people who only knew him in his middle years. And there were people who only knew him in his later years. And there were some people there who didn't know him at all. And they said, "I read his obituary. And I had to come and meet this man whose life was not that of an athlete or a musician or some kind of a person that we would consider a star." And I had written that, this is not a name that you would readily know unless you knew him. He was not famous for anything, but he was well known and well loved. And one man said, "I want to be like him. This is the life that I need to emulate." And people stood around and shared stories. And at the repast, more people shared stories. And I thought about it this morning. We so often measure life by pops and moments of success and shine and fame. And fame is really, oof. But the people who are steadfast, who show up every day in spite of, who do what they say they're going to do, who love their families, their neighbors, their community, their God, who put something in this earth by simply walking every day towards peace. I want you today to think of those people in your life and celebrate them. And certainly if they're still here, stop, give them a call, and just say thank you. I love you.